Good morning. Good morning, everyone. What's up? Thanks for logging in. Got my Cowboys gear on today. Big game. And sorry to come on so late. You know what? I am sorry just because I like to keep that 9 o'clock thing the structure. But I'm not sorry because why I was held back today has a lot to do with really the message today. If you're logging on for the first time, one of the things I like to declare right away is this is not a religious experience. Okay, I don't like that. I don't believe even Jesus was down with religion. I think it's just a different thing. So what I do is I just try to bring a message every Sunday that can be impactful for us as individuals, impactful for people who are working their way out of a struggle, or people who are in the struggle of stress. And so that's what this is about. Hopefully the message today, which is going to be about family, which is going to be about like improving the quality of family, the health and happiness of that, but also to all my fellow single people out there who are trying to do life alone. And here's the thing, single life is great. What you have to have an awareness of is what kind of future do you have for yourself. Some people can just grasp, like they don't mind being single, they don't mind going to movies alone, or I'm not that dude. Okay, I enjoy the life in terms of growth, but in my mind it's like I'm not gonna go grab popcorn by myself and catch a movie. I like companionship, and so that's kind of where my mind is. Okay, I don't embrace the singleness for the rest of my life, if you will. So let me get right to it because we got a little late start this morning. So the reason why I was a little late is my son wanted to wake up and play the Lego game on our Xbox One, and part of building health into the family is being able to say yes to the randoms, and I love doing that with my son. So we got a little bit of Lego movie under our belt this morning. Gonna wrap up this message, and then my love and I are gonna head to church in a little bit. So, building healthy families. Well, if the statistic you have to understand is that more than half of marriages today in the United States end in divorce. More than half. Doesn't matter if you're a church goer. Doesn't matter if you're an atheist. None of this religion stuff means anything. There's nothing really in terms of a religious claim or any of that secures a marriage. More than half are ending. And the more divorce that you experience, the less likely you are to sustain marriage also. And so, but what we do is we have systems in place that are really intended to help once things are too late. Okay, we don't have proactive counselors. So when I think about this men's retreat that I've been organizing, putting together, that is not for divorced males. That is for males who are either on the cusp of that or are individuals who just don't want that anymore for their future. They want to make a relationship work. So really building proactive systems. So what I wanted to deliver today is just a couple of things. One, habits that build healthy marriages and healthy families. Good morning to everybody, Arlise, Joyce, Jerron, and Connie. So what I want to just talk today about really briefly is just building healthy habits into marriages and families, and also can't neglect my fellow singles out there either. So just going to come at you with a quick message. So healthy families, why talk about it? Because everybody assumes that there's just like this no gray area. You either really don't know what you're doing or you're really managing a healthy family the right way, right? And the problem is, like I've talked about before, when families are struggling, well, when they're struggling, they're the least likely to reach out for help. That's one of the hardest things to admit, especially for a man. There's so much pride ingrained in men. There's so much just that hidden pride in us that just, man, to reach out for help to somebody to say, hey, this family thing here, wife, kids, I'm not doing very good. That's really hard for men to admit. That alpha part in us. And then what's happening in our society is it breaks up, the family unit breaks up, and there's all that deterioration and all that shame and all that guilt and brokenness. And then meanwhile, couples that are doing life the right way, or families that are doing life the right way, just say, well, why didn't they reach out? And I've talked about that before. Well, it's because they're broken. We're going to create a culture where the healthy people are expecting the broken people to do all the communication and work. That may be part of the problem right there. Right? So, families, whether you want to admit it or not, meals, I think that's probably what makes the Last Supper, that supper image, so powerful. Is most of us, whether you're white, African American, Latino, it doesn't matter. Meals bring people together. So how do we build health from a meal standpoint into our family? Here's some research you might not know. So when we talk about meals, it's about having frequent meals with family regularly. Why? You probably don't know, but even the research supports that just having meals together with your kids improves their achievement levels, whether it's academically, whether it's athletically, whether it's socially, but mainly psychologically, improves their achievement success simply by having more meals together as a family. Secondly, if you have daughters, research shows that the more that families engage in meals together and actually enjoying those meals together as a family, decreases the likelihood that your daughters would have an eating disorder. Research. The other thing is, if you have sons or daughters, you may not know this, but just increasing the amount of times that you have meals together, not just quantity, but the quality, how you're present. If you're all sitting at the table yelling at each other and being miserable and stressed out, that ain't what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is quality. When you're engaged in the meal with your family, whether you have young sons or whether you have daughters, it actually decreases the likelihood that they can have depression when they get older. Okay? So it's powerful stuff. And I'm not talking about just, really it's about being creative with meals. My son and I, when we have meals together, I create the weirdest pancakes. I always intend on creating this, but I create that. Sometimes he wants a Mickey Mouse pancake. Sometimes he wants something else. And my job is just to make it fun. And you don't have to do this, but when I sit down with my son sometimes, I like to have even worship music in the background, not because I'm trying to create a religious experience for myself or my son. It's soft music, it's soothing, it's got beautiful words to it, and we just quiet ourselves. And sometimes we pray, sometimes we just talk about the things that we enjoy about our day. I always ask my son, what was your favorite part of the day? What is something you learned? You know, when I'm getting ready to drop him off at school, we have the same speech every time in the morning. I say, son, you're going to have a wonderful day today. I know you're going to have fun. And equally important, just find one person to help today. Go be a helper today. And it really helps him to kind of pan out the day in his mind when he gets ready for the school day. The first thing is meals. How do we get back to having meals together? If you're going to bake cookies or cook something, even invite your kids to be a part of that. I didn't grow up that way. It was a go sit your butt down and the food will be ready in a minute. There was no participation, no connection. So if you're going to bake cookies, make something that's not real, that couldn't put your son at risk, invite your kids to be a part of the experience. Teach them. Make it a family unit thing. The second thing, be cool. Be cool. When I look back at my childhood, and you got to be cool with boundaries, by the way, but when I look back at my childhood, I always wanted to leave my house. I couldn't wait to leave. Because whatever was happening in the household, I didn't feel like I was a part of it. I didn't feel a part of it. And so being cool means, having a home that your own kids want to gravitate to. Have you created a culture of fun in your own home? Whatever it is, depending on age, do you have board games that are accessible? Do you have activities? So when I think about having an Xbox, that device is not something that I have here to distract my son. That's something that my son and I do together. We do it together. Even with breakfast, when we have breakfast together, sometimes parents, what you need to do, or what we need to do, is just sit down, have a crazy wacky breakfast, and enjoy some cartoons in the morning with our kids. Like really being participatory in those things. When we talk about being cool, just wanted to hammer that point real quick, is just what kind of culture you're creating in the house. Think about what kind of home or the life of your home is going to be like when they become teenagers, if they're not there yet. Is it going to be one that right now, and you'll pick up the signs, are you creating a culture in your home where your kids just can't wait to exit? They wish they were somewhere else. They wish they could go to so-and-so's house. So, not that I don't know the effective strategies, but I'm mindful of that. Is this a place where my son is just going to want to come home? Is this home base? When our kids go to school and they have to deal with the ins and outs of the stress of carving out a name for themselves, of forming friendships, in their mind, is your home base? Is it a place of safety? Is it a place where they can come home and safely, without criticism or even advice, just express their stressors? Have you created home base at home? Most of my friends that had the cool parents when I was growing up, they didn't know they had the cool parents. They didn't pick up on the 4 or 5 of us that always wanted to be at their house, where they always wanted to be somewhere else. When I think about friends that I gravitated towards, keep this in mind, parents. Kids will gravitate towards other kids that share similar values and similar interests. So we have this culture now where parents release themselves from the responsibility when their kids are in their teen years and say, I don't know why he's hanging out with so-and-so. I don't know why he's hanging out with that knucklehead. Oh, he's just over there with those troublemakers. I told you not to be hanging out with those kids. I told you to stay away from those kids. You know what? Parents, sooner or later we got to take ownership over that, because kids picked up their values and interests from guess who? So maybe rather than just criticizing the decisions they're making and criticizing the friends that they're hanging out with, maybe we need to do a self-check and understand how they picked up those values and interests, or lack of values and interests, from us, and partner in those conversations with kids. Instilling or not instilling critical values, them just kind of living that out and then poking fingers at them, it's not cool. Partner with your kids. Okay. Thirdly, planning adventures. Most families don't do this. I get it, man. We have so many families in this country that live paycheck to paycheck. We'll talk about the financial part in a second. But there's just no adventure. And for kids, if you've got parents where there's no bright light at the end of the tunnel, raising kids where there's no bright light at the end of their tunnel, so now you're just going to work doing a job that you're not 100% satisfied doing, and they're going to school and they're not actively involved in that, and they're disengaged in academics, they're not able to form good friendships. Now you just got a culture, a family unit, where every single participant, whether they're 8 years old or 38 years old, are just on this path together to misery. It doesn't matter how much money you make. There is a way where you can include adventure into your life. We're in November right now. I'm already mapping out June, July, August, September of next year, planning out, charting out, reserving spots for all the incredible camping trips that my son and I and whoever else is a part of our life to enjoy. It's a non-negotiable. I cannot commit myself to a job, and I can't have my son commit himself to just go kick butt at school without some reward built in. If there's no reward, you just run out of gas. It doesn't sustain emotionally, and then pretty soon everyone is just miserable together. You have to, non-negotiable, include adventure into your family unit. You have to. There's got to be adventure. I don't know what that looks like for you, whether, a few weeks here we'll be going out to Sun River together, playing in the mountain. Guys, we have a really incredible ice skating rink that's going to be placed at our Riverfront Park here in downtown Salem. What an incredible thing to do with your kids. From what I understand, it's about $12 for kids, $15 for adults. Make it a non-negotiable. And you may be saying, ice skating? We don't ice skate. Yeah? Well, how's that going? See, sometimes part of being fun sometimes part of being adventurous, sometimes part of being the cool parent, sometimes part of meeting into that, stepping into that awkwardness of having more meals together as a family is doing it because you don't want to, because it's not something that's natural. What we're trying to do, guys, is we're trying to break free from misery and stay committed to the family. Secondly, so we talked about meals and that kind of togetherness. Secondly, do not fight about money. That is the number one thing that breaks up families. But this is something that takes a mutual effort. If you've got one person in the relationship that is committed to not fighting, if you got one person in a relationship that's committed to establishing financial goals, if you've got one person in the relationship that has ideas of what you want to save for, whether it's just some sort of trip, whether it's to start a new business. It's 2017, but by and large, if you have a business idea, now is the time to execute it, right? But this one I won't hammer out because you don't want to. Do not fight about money. Most people don't fight about money because they don't make enough. That's what they think. But what you're really fighting about is you've got no financial goals. You don't have a calendar with a beautiful destination on it. Whether it's 2018, 2019, doesn't matter. If you don't have something on the calendar that you and your significant other can commit to, do it today. Sit down, figure out financial goals, figure out what you want to save for. Like, what are you saving for? Is it the trip? Is it the car? Are you saving for a home? Are you saving for a home? And just stick to it. And that, coupled with this last point, knocks it out of the park, guys. Thirdly, when it comes to marriages, is just commit to keeping happy. Commit to keeping happy. This one I'm going to keep really short and simple. If you as a married couple, or as a couple that lives together, whatever it is, but there's definitely a union there. If you don't have a book in your library that has the author John Gottman, go get one today. This guy knows his stuff. So I'm just going to leave you with one tip. Good morning. One of the most powerful tips that John Gottman offers people in relationships is it's his 5-to-1 ratio. If you can commit and have this conversation with your significant other today. Have this conversation with your significant other. This is a strategy. This is something, and again, none of this stuff works. Trust me, I've been in relationships that don't work. And oftentimes, what I can say is it only works when both people can make the commitment. To the 5-to-1 ratio is pretty basic. The 5-to-1 ratio is, are you going to make negative statements to each other? Yes. Are there going to be times where you argue or fight? Yes. Are there going to be times where you have bad disagreements? Yes. You have to. Your relationship with your kids or your significant other is not growing when things are great. It only grows when there's problems. So you will have those. But John Gottman says one of the key contributors to a successful, to keeping happiness in your relationship is the 5-to-1 ratio. For every one time that there's a negative interaction or negative conflict, you commit to 5 times having positive interactions with your relationship. So examples of that is just a smile. For guys, just look over at your sweetie and just give her that little like, what up, boo? You know daddy still loves you. Just a smile. Just a smile. Just a touch. Just a hand on their shoulder saying, love you. You know that. I love you. Another thing is just a shared laugh, man. Couples who laugh together consistently stay together, just laughing together. Could be on anything. Anything can cause laughter, whether you're reflecting on some happy moment in your relationship, the way you met. I mean, any of those types of things. So when you commit to that together, it's massive. For guys, it could even be doing a favor. Do a favor. There's nothing that works right directly to the core of a significant other like a favor, doing something that extends outside of yourself for them. So those are the tips, really briefly, for sustaining peace and joy in those relationships. So let's see. Oh, I see some people communicating. Awesome. All right. So there's that. Single people. We'll just knock this one out real quick, okay? Because we're there. It's one of the hardest things to do. One of the hardest things to do for people who are alone is to enjoy the alone time. One of the key contributors to relationships breaking apart is people just jumping from one rope to the other because they don't know how to be alone. They don't know how to heal the right way. They don't know how to overcome self-challenges. They don't know how to just sit down, be quiet, learn, and reflect. And that's critical. That's critical. Okay? So, singles, just going to walk through this really quickly. Number one tip that is just so critical and important is just be okay to be alone. Be okay to be alone. Because the alternative to that is just wanting noise. People just, they want to get off work. They want to, my schedule is pretty much 50-50 with my son. And so when I think about the days when I have my son, I don't do very much work. I don't do really anything. When I have my son, on the days I have him, he gets 100% the fullness of daddy. He gets the fullness of daddy. I love being with my son. That's like the most important part of my life. I drop him off at school the last possible minute that I can so I can maximize morning time. And then I pick him up as soon as he comes right out those back doors from school. I'm right there. And my favorite part is when he sees me, and he just comes running every time. And I get down on my knees. And the reason why this is making me emotional is because right now my son has been sitting about 10 feet from me. And I love you, baby. He's got a big old laugh and a big old smile on his face. I love you, Papa. And that's my favorite part, is just to crouch down when he runs to me and I can just squeeze him and spend as many minutes as I can. But on the days that I don't have him, when I work and I come home, wherever I'm at, and I come home, I don't want to be out bar hopping. I don't want to be out chasing women. I don't want to be out doing those things. I want to be home alone. I want to grow myself. So if you have kids, what I do, for me, when I think about the books I read or the time that I invest, part of it is for me, but the other part is for my son. I just want to be a good dad. How am I building myself? What kind of values am I instilling in myself? What kind of knowledge am I giving myself? What kind of people do I draw into my life that helps me to be a better individual, a healthy individual, a strong individual, a capable individual, a growing and a learning individual, as that relates to me, and what kind of impact that has on my son? So if you're fresh out of a relationship, or you're fresh out of a one that didn't work, didn't last, and the brokenness that you experienced through that, the number one detrimental thing you can do is hop right back into another one. Just be okay with being alone. And so what does that look like in terms of tips? Man, you got to do things that other people aren't willing to do. See, I've got choices. One choice is to pick up my phone and just reach out, to women. That's an option. I don't want to do that, man. I find people. I went and did a workshop the other day, and I don't know if he's logged on, and we've actually never hung out. But I've been hearing about this guy named Izzy Cavazos. And so what do? There was something there, and I just messaged him, man. I hit the guy on Facebook, and I said, hey, man, right now I could use a friend like you. I could use a friend like you. He looks like a guy that's committed to the community. He just looks like a stand-up guy, and so you got to reach out for that stuff. You got to reach out for that stuff. Because waiting for good people to come into your life, it doesn't always happen. And that's not going to be a good excuse for why you started making poor decisions. Sometimes you've got to take the life that you want into your hands and go make it happen. Draw people into your life. Right now I need friendships. I need good, solid guys into my life. I had Paco, if you're logged on, Paco Rosas. incredible human being. So even after that workshop, he invites me, come hang out with guys. And I wasn't able to make it because I stayed at my office late. But he messaged me back, man, and he's like, man, right now is a great time to be around good men, man, guys that are focused on the community. That's what I want. You understand what kind of benefit that has for me as a person? But ultimately, that's the message. Those are the values that I want to instill in my son, is being invested in the community, serving other people, bringing goodness into the world. And I don't want to tell him to do that when I'm not. When I'm out there making poor decisions, I don't want to, that's not going to happen. That's hypocrisy. Be okay to be alone. Draw positive people into your life. Seek out mentors. If you're single, find mentors. Half of my core friendships are a group of men that are twice my age. People who can hear my thoughts and shoot down the wrong ones and lift up the right ones. So if you're single, enjoy being alone. Find good people that are building character and value into your life. Find mentorship. Find people who just nurture new ways of thinking. And lastly, build healthy habits. Building healthy habits. When I'm alone, I don't want to just sit there on Facebook all night or do social media stuff. I need a book, something that's going to fill my mind. So reading is huge. Hiking. Can you go hiking on your own? Can you go hiking on your own? Can you just build habits on your own? And then thirdly, hang out with healthy couples. Hang out with healthy couples. Okay, find people who maybe necessarily aren't mentors, but as much as they're friends. I'm so blessed today. I get to go hang out with my friends, Teresa and Nick Williams. See, when I'm around them, when I'm around Nick Williams, some of you know him, he's the CEO of our Chamber of Commerce. But man, I've been hanging out with him on Sundays, and just the way I see him love on his wife is life-changing for me. Finding friendships that you want to pattern your life after. Right? So find healthy couples. Couples that pray together. It's not about religion, it's just about habits, guys. I don't care what religion you are or not. Man, if you have a heart where you can criticize couples who pray together, who sit and pray together for the sake of building their relationships, and you can criticize and knock that, that's your own issue. It's not about religion. It's about healthy habits. Patterning ourselves after people who do healthy stuff. Because what it comes down to, especially if you're single, is we live in a culture where people are out trying to find the right person. Maybe it's this person, maybe it's that person. I'll leave you with this. Whether you're married or single, don't focus on finding the right person. Focus on being the right person. We have a culture where everybody's looking for something out there, when the magic and the transformation and the change is in us. Don't focus on finding the right person. Focus on being the right person. Guys, thank you so much for logging on. Hopefully, if you did, click like, even share it with friends. Even when you share it, you don't even have to just share the message directly. Post a little message. Share my post, but post your own message of how it impacted you and how you believe it can impact others. And so with that, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Have a great day. Do something awkward and different with your significant other today. Make a commitment to that 5-to-1 ratio. When you know you caught yourself off, give yourself permission to come back with 5 times better. 5 times love, 5 times positive comments. Okay? It'll change everything. And if you're a male out there looking to form friendships, guys, I have time, man. I love forming friendships with people. I love just being able to hang out with guys where I could have conversations about how do we become better for our next relationship? How do we become better? How do we bring our A game? How do we focus on positive characteristics? That's what I want. And so I just pray you guys have a blessed day. Love on yourselves. Love on your significant others. Love on your kids. And enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.